everyone, it's Nancy. Happy Valentine's Day. If you celebrate Valentine's Day in some fashion, it's a day for romance. It's a day for, greeting card companies to make money. But I choose to think of it as a romantic day. And so I came on to look at some romantic tarot decks, what I think are romantic decks. But before I look at them, I do have to say that my husband did really good this year. He got me a nice Valentine's Day card, but it's not just a card. So anyway, pretty special. We danced to it when I opened it. And he also got me these beautiful roses. They're heavy. They're in a really heavy glass jar. So I wanted to share those. And if you're on your own and a little lonely, don't be jealous. Just look forward. You're going to find someone maybe almost as wonderful as my husband. I know. Anyway, later on I give him a chocolate making machine, so he's going to melt some chocolate and dip strawberries in it. And we'll drink some red wine. So that's my Valentine's Day. And I wanted to share a little bit of that romance with you by looking at some romantic decks. There's several in my collection. I thought of like the Children of Litha is a very beautiful fantasy, etc., etc. But I kind of honed in on three of them that I really thought were romantic. The first one is Ciro Marchetti deck, no surprise there. In fact, I usually avoid his decks. My cat's coming to look at the flowers and so on. I usually avoid his decks because I find them a little too flowery and too romantic. But I saw this, I think it was on the Artistry of Tarot, and she was showing it in the colored version, but there's this muted version, the Mystic Palette Tarot. And there was something about the fact that the colors were more muted that I thought, well, maybe that will work. Okay, the cat's going crazy over the roses. So I got it, and I like it. It's certainly romantic. This is, as I say, the more muted color palette, which just autumnal colors and borderless, which I like. I've seen some of his decks that have these kind of gaudy, to me, gaudy, ornate borders. There goes the cat again. She apparently loves roses. But I like the borderless and I like the muted color palette. There's the Hermit. Not particularly romantic, but I thought it was kind of a cool card. Very nice cardstock, but you can see why this is a very romantic feeling deck. Again, I think part of romantic tarot decks is how ornate they are, how ornate the art is. I mean, there's a lady in a gondola. And you'll see in a little while in another deck how gondolas, it's just like, you're sitting in a gondola, it's romantic, for Christ's sake, But the use of settings, this one with the Three of Wands, almost a steampunky boat thing floating through the sky, just adds that feeling of adventure. And I think that romance can be ornate art, it can be adventure, sometimes it can be danger. I'll show that in some other cards and other decks. Now this is the Two of Cups in this deck, which I think is a little odd. You've got the two people in the cups looking young and beautiful, and then they're here looking not just aged, but I don't know, like they've been in the earth for a while. So I'm really not sure what that's about. Even the death card in this deck is romantic, with the mask and the flowers. It's pretty cool. There are definitely some very cool cards in this deck. The star card. I actually love the Empress card in this deck. She's not young and pregnant. She's got character in her face. But again, you've got the flowers and the animals. It's a very pastoral sort of feeling. And I think that's one more aspect of romantic. If it's fanciful, fantastical, you know, fantasy, if it's adventure, if it's ornate art, and there's our lovers. And I kind of like the fact that Marchetti has put fool's caps on them, because sometimes when we're in love, we're fools for love, and we're foolish. So that's the Mystic Palette Tarot by Ciro Marchetti. The next deck I have is the Venetian Tarot. I have a mini version that was very kindly given to me by Candy from Candy Soul and Soil. And I had watched this deck online, you know, looked at it online and thought, that's really, really pretty. I want that. And I think I mentioned it in a video, and she picked up on that. But, you know, Venice, I mentioned this to my husband this morning. I have never been to Venice, and he said, oh, it's kind of dirty. So that ruined that fantasy. But Venice seems like a very romantic place. This deck has very romantic figures from a different age, almost that, and some of them have that Venetian carnival. Make sure that's in focus. There goes the cat again. And that one I was showing is almost a pirate adventure, but there's romance to that. Romance is kind of an elusive thing. It's not just love and sex, it's adventure, and sometimes ruined castles, ruins, and older buildings can be that way. Elaborate costumes. The setting. And again, of course, my cat again, and I'm not sure she's getting in frame, but every time she passes, yeah. But again, that fantasy element, I think, is part of the romance. I'm making sure she's not eating the flowers, because they're probably not good for her. Get down, baby. That Venetian carnival feel. So the Venetian Tarot, again with gondolas and the mist on the water. And in this deck, here are our lovers. So that's my second romantic deck. Now, my third one, my final one, I just said I'm going to pick three, is the Mythical Creatures Tarot from Baba Studios. This is sort of the definition. I mean, I struggled to find a card in here that wasn't romantic. It's just designed that way. The backs are incredible. The card stock is wonderful. The borders on every card are incredible. It's a Marseille style deck with very decorative pips. but even the pips are romantic in their flourishes and their ornateness. I love that sun card. The bird just glows. As I said, I think I found one card in this, the Tower, that's sort of a giant squid that was not romantic. But other than that, every card in this deck is pretty romantic. There's our unicorn for the star. The Magician in this beautiful embroidered gown. So it's hard not to find to find a not romantic card in this deck. And finally, our lovers. I had to show that for each of the decks. Rather an aquatic lovers card. So I would love to know what romantic decks you have. What makes a deck romantic? Is it the art? Is it the setting, in a medieval elaborate place with women in long skirts and castles? Is it the sense of adventure? What is it that makes a deck romantic for you? So I'd like to know that, and I'd like to wish you all a happy Valentine's Day. And I will see you later. You guys take care. Bye.